especially the gentleman who you were debating. I don't know his name. He was very supercilious and pretty arrogant.
Their Murabbis, we showed them their 10 recent videos. 9 out of 10, they are responding to Imtiaz. This is their level of obsession. 9 out of 10. The thing is, come here or invite me there.
My experience was that they used to be the Murabbis to be quite humble at times. But now I think this new generation of Ahmadi Murabbis is very impatient. They get rumbled.
So I joined his live stream yesterday as per my commitment and promise. And guess what, Izhar bhai? He said, he put a condition. He said that I cannot quote Mirza Ghulam Qadiani.
See, as I said, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad has now become a very difficult thing for them, and it's almost become an obstruction to their progress. And that guy was, to be honest, quite rude. At times he acknowledged that he was rude, but then he said, oh, I was just joking. And these things are not light matters. Matters of deen and iman are serious matters.
The interesting thing is, as you said, Izhar bhai, now we first have to call them back to Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani and then back to Islam, because Ahmadiya's current establishment and their Murabbis have taken them a step further. So first Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani took them from Islam to himself, and now Jamaat has taken them from Mirza Sahib to another station.
Yeah, so they've distorted their own belief. Yeah,
exactly. Now we have to bring them back first to Mirza Sahib and then back to Islam.
Mirza Sahib is an antibody for them now. You see, they will not, they don't even want to discuss him.
He was telling me, maybe without even realizing the implication, he was telling me that if we bring Mirza Sahib into the discussion, we can never get to a conclusion. What do you mean?
Netanyahu, that leave the evildoers alone and let the evildoers do their thing. And who are the evildoers in this perspective?
Well, of course, they're the Gazans and the Palestinians.
The Palestinians. So he's basically saying that the poor, the people who are oppressed, the Muslims who are oppressed, they're actually the evildoers and the wrongdoers. So
So he's agreeing that Netanyahu's enemies are the oppressors.
Yes, exactly. And he's telling him to have restraint against the evildoers. This is what
I appeal to my Ahmadi brothers and sisters. This is dynamite for me.
Those Ahmadis were asylum cases from Norway who came to London, and these weapons are being made in Norway for Israel, and I looked it up. It's sniper rocket launch. So how bad is that?
This is in the public. Mirza Tahir Ahmad's own daughter, one of them was married, and then she got divorced, unfortunately. And many people sent him letters of sympathy, and he did a special khutbah, and Bashir has put that on his website. A special khutbah that, why are you sending me letters of sympathy? I already knew that she was going to get divorced. So why would a father marry his daughter to someone who he already knew was going? Have you seen that khutbah, Imtiaz bhai?
No.
You should see it. I mean, it is the most weird khutbah I've ever heard. Is it still available in Bashir? But before that, I watched that live debate that you had. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago with a group of Ahmadis. And firstly, I'd like to commend you on your patience. I probably wouldn't have managed to be that patient and would probably have left, because there are 2 points I want to make. One is the attitude of, not all of them, I have to say, but some of the, especially the gentleman who you were debating, I don't know his name.
Nadir.
That's the one. Yeah, he was very supercilious and pretty arrogant, and I think what they need to do is tone down a bit. What I feel is that they've been quite triggered with these live stream, and it's fine to be irritated, but you've got to contain yourself and show a bit of humility and patience. And so I was quite disappointed because, as you know, I was brought up as an Ahmadi, and in the earlier days, my experience was that the Murabbis used to be quite humble at times. But now I think this new generation of Ahmadi Murabbis is very impatient. They get rumbled. And they got rumbled whenever you mention that word Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, that name Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. That's when they say, no, we want to go to the Quran. And when they go to the Quran, they misinterpret hadith, the Quranic injunctions and the Quranic ayat. And tonight, you were discussing, I think, the ayat of the covenant of the Prophet. And tonight, I would like to commend you because you have had time to put your case to the Ahmadis, really. With us Muslims don't need to know it. But you have dismantled the very basis on which Ahmadis used to proselytize that there was going to be that there can be prophets after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the way you've done it is very forensic, I should say. You have put the case of the Tawil-e-Am and the Tawil-e-Khas brilliantly. So congratulations on that. But then you went further. You actually dismantled their case. It would be dismissed out of court in a second, their case, by quoting none other than Mirza Ghulam Ahmad himself, who has given the same tafsir. So I feel sorry for the Ahmadis because they are in a completely confused state. And instead of making rude remarks, and that guy was, to be honest, quite rude. At times he acknowledged that he was rude, but then he said, oh, I was just joking. And these things are not light matters. Matters of deen and iman are serious matters. And again, I would like to congratulate you on your patience and the way you conducted yourself, and may Allah continue to strengthen your hand in providing the message and in propagating the message of Islam, particularly to our Ahmadis. And also you increase the knowledge of non-Ahmadis as well, because this was an ayat that they always used to throw at me when I was in the process of discussing these issues with them, when I started doubting the religion of Ahmadiyya as the so-called true Islam. And they used to put this one and the one of Surah Araf, O Bani Adam one. And you've explained this quite clearly. And not you, but Mirza Ghulam Ahmad himself explained.
Exactly.
So I think that the Lahoris have at least understood that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad never claimed, and it was his son, Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad, who started the whole business. And I'm, as you know, a pacifist. I'm against violence against anybody. I even condemned the shooting of the poor man who was ignorant, who burnt the Quran in Sweden, because it simply makes a martyr out of people. And violence is not the answer. And like you demonstrated sabr in your debate, we should demonstrate sabr whenever anybody humiliates or insults Islam, and pray to Allah to give them hidayat. And if Allah doesn't give them hidayat, the punishment is in the hands of Allah. We shouldn't be executing the punishment. So the point I was trying to make is, by propagating these false interpretations and putting Mirza Ghulam Ahmad as a prophet in front of everyone, the Muslims as well as the Ahmadis, his son Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad did a great disservice to his own Ahmadi people, because ignorant and out of the love for the Prophet or whatever, Muslims have committed violent acts against Ahmadis on the basis of this. And okay, if they had simply had the sense to regard Mirza Ghulam Ahmad as some sort of a peer or murshid, who actually himself, as you have quite exquisitely and forensically explained, did not agree with what they are propagating, then they should simply have been accepted as another group of Muslims who do not at least insult the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ by claiming that there was another prophet after him, and he would have been forgotten. But they have brought themselves, and this whole persecution business is almost, I think it was Mirza, one of the caliphs, who even welcomed persecution as if this was a badge of honor for Ahmadis. And you see, that is a very twisted approach to belief and to ideas. So in summary, all I would say is that you have today dismantled the basic tenet of the current Ahmadi Qadiani Jamaat, which keeps going on about this nonsense that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, Nauzubillah, was a prophet. That's all I wanted to say to you.
Izhar bhai, Jazakallah khair, and I always take your comments very seriously, your feedback. Either you give me on public platform, in private. The reason is because you know that if the message is properly, phrased, and if everything is properly presented, because you had been a part of the community for most part of your life,
58 years.
Yeah, basically entire chunk of your active life you've been with them, So
yeah,
now
I'm a born again Muslim.
now obviously, when you look at the content we are producing and the argument we're presenting, so inshallah we can see, okay, this is the thing that needs to be heard by their community. Now the interesting thing is, as you said, Izhar bhai, now we first have to call them back to Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani and then back to Islam, because Jamaat-e-Ahmadiyya's current establishment and their murabbis have taken them a step further. So first Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani took them from Islam to himself, and now Jamaat has taken them from Mirza Sahib to another station.
Yeah,
so
they've distorted their own belief. Yeah,
exactly. Now we have to bring them back first to Mirza Sahib and then back to Islam.
But you see, Mirza Sahib is an antibody for them now. You see, they don't even want to discuss him. There's one other point I'd like to make, which is not relevant to today's discussion, that recently happened, and I was absolutely stunned and astonished. Mirza, the Khalifa Sahib, so-called, he has the habit of doing a program called This Week with Huzur. So I don't know if Ahmadis have watched the current episode of that, in which a member of the Jamaat from America asks him whether it is okay for Ahmadis, Qadianis, to work in ammunition factories in America that send arms to Israel. And I was seeing that clip, and I thought he would clearly say that no, you should try to find another job, because clearly that's not right. And I was stunned and astonished that he gave the example that this is like having to eat pork in a matter of extreme situation where you are starving. I mean, I didn't even expect that from him. And interestingly, they did a summary of that program in Al-Hakam. And they took away the word Israel. I don't know if you saw that. Bashir, brother, Assalamu Alaikum. Did you see that, man? And you know, this is how they eyewash people. And I would urge Ahmadis to just go and look at that clip and what's going on in the world at the moment in geopolitics. The man should at least have had the decency to say, try to find another job, and then stopped. But he went on and saying that this is the situation, like, in extreme situations, you have to eat pork. It's not an extreme situation. You've got huge masses of chanda's money. If they're out of job, you can give them the chanda to, get on until they find a new job. And anyway, I'll stop there and I'll let you carry on with the program. But has any Ahmadi appeared today?
No, I don't think so. Izhar bhai, I just want to add.
Izhar bhai,
Yes.
Izhar bhai, look at, I was showing to the people on my screen early on that their murabbis, we showed them their 10 recent videos. 9 out of 10, they are responding to Imtiaz. This is their level of obsession. 9 out of 10. The thing is, come here or invite me there.
Subhanallah. And Allah has given you the ability to show patience and go into their territory, as it were, go into their cyber territory or social media territory and withstand the insults. I think one of them was quite triggered when you didn't respond with wa alaikum assalam, but that's your prerogative. And there were some other things that he said that I think were below the belt.
By the way, Izhar bhai, before you leave, just to give you the update, you know, in that engagement, we discussed that we are going to have a next debate about Wama Muhammadun illa Rasul and the ijma of the Sahaba. So then yes. I went. Everything was decided. It was only date and time needs to be announced. So I joined his live stream yesterday as per my commitment and promise. And guess what, Izhar bhai? He said, he put a condition. He said that I cannot quote Mirza Ghulam Qadiani.
See, as I said, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad has now become a very difficult thing for them, and it's almost become an obstruction to their progress. Subhanallah.
And Izhar bhai, he was telling me, maybe without even realizing the implications, he was telling me that if we bring Mirza Sahib into the discussion, we can never get to a conclusion. What do you mean?
Well, it looks as if he's become their bête noire, and you are his bête noire, their bête noire as well. But it tells you a lot that one person, Imtiaz and his team, have triggered the Jamaat to such an extent that they are even disowning their own man. So, I mean, where do you go from here? So anyway, Jazakallah for letting me say a few words, but I wanted to thank you for, I listened to that debate. It was in Urdu though. And I would like to say that it's nice of you to restart the English version, because many of my relatives who don't speak Urdu, at least 2 of them have been watching, and they were very pleased that the proceedings are in English. So, Jazakallah and Assalamu Alaikum.
Please give my salam to Umar bhai.
Inshallah, I will. He always mentions you, and he has great words for you.
Before you leave, inshallah, if you don't.
Yes, inshallah.
Go ahead.
Inshallah, Izhar, before you leave, I want to like kind of inform you of 2 things. Maybe you don't know about this. So this person you were mentioning that was debating Imtiaz bhai, he was at his best of behavior at that day. This is like you said, these cheap shots and everything. He was at best of his behaviors, because this is the same person who actually abused Adnan bhai, like literally abused Adnan bhai with swear words and talked about a women out of his household. This is the same person. So that day was the best of him that you saw.
Well, if that was the best of his behavior, then I wouldn't have anything to do with him, to be honest.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
May Allah give him hidayat though.
Ameen. And second thing, you mentioned Masroor Saab and the Palestinian issue, right? Inshallah. So inshallah, there was a letter that Masroor Saab wrote Netanyahu. I just want to read a very small extract from that, right?
Please.
So it says, hence it is my request to you that instead of leading the world into grip of world war, make maximum effort to save the world from a global catastrophe. Instead of resolving dispute with force, you should try to resolve them through dialogue so that we can gift our future generation with a bright future rather than gift them with disability and defect. I shall try to elude my views based on following passages from your teaching, the extract from Zabur. So he's presenting him the Zabur to Netanyahu, a passage to make him stop this world war, right? And not resolve it through force. He said, do not fret because of evildoers. Do not envy those who do wrong, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither like the green herb. Trust in God, do good, dwell in the land, enjoy safe pasture. Also delight yourself in God, and He will give you the desire of your heart. So basically, he is telling Netanyahu that leave the evildoers alone and let the evildoers do their thing. And who are the evildoers in this perspective?
Well, of course, they're the Gazans and the Palestinians.
The Palestinians. So he's basically saying that the poor, the people who are oppressed, the Muslims who are oppressed, they're actually the evildoers and the wrongdoers.
Subhanallah. So he's agreeing that Netanyahu's enemies are the oppressors.
Yes, exactly. And he's telling him to have restraint against the evildoers. This is what
I appeal to my Ahmadi brothers and sisters. This is dynamite for me. As you all know that I'm involved with the struggle and I do all we can. But this, you have pointed out a very important passage.
Izhar bhai, this is history repeating itself. When the British Raj was killing the people in the subcontinent, Mirza Ghulam Qadiani was telling them that I am your refuge from Allah. Keep on, keep doing.
Well, even in Iraq, when I think it was 1921, when the British first invaded Iraq, Qadian was lit up and illuminated, and they distributed sweets in the street.
Exactly.
Because they've always, and that's a big story that you've covered before. The Ahmadis are apologists for that, and we know, and it is all very sad. But thank you, Ahmed, for alerting me to that one. I will look that up, and that is totally unacceptable. The enemies of Israel are our friends. They are not the oppressors. They are living right in our hearts here.
One real quick. So those Ahmadis were asylum cases from Norway who came to London. And these weapons are being made in Norway for Israel. And I looked it up. It's sniper rocket launch. So how bad is that? I
thought it was America.
No, it was. I think it's all mixed. They had a group come from here, a group come from there. That was specifically a group from Norway.
But I was stunned. I really was shocked. Almost as shocked when I first heard his audio tape of the telephone conversation with the poor woman, Bibi Nida. But they need to keep they need to get him some advisors to tell him, and I take it these questions are put to him in advance. It's not extempore, is it?
Yeah, it's all in advance. He knows.
Are you allowed to ask any questions without him knowing what's going to be asked?
Yeah, Mirza Tahir sometimes would be so anxious he'd give the answer before they gave the question.
He was a bit more, I think, I shouldn't say educated, but I think he was a bit more savvy with his word. That's the word. I mean, Islam doesn't allow us to question anyone's intelligence. Only Allah knows. But on the face of it, this was a very poor answer at best, and it was the wrong answer at worst.
Yeah. And I had a few notes. Dr. Zahar, can you stay for just for like 2 minutes?
Sure.
And I got to run too. Brother Imtiaz, so where does this belief, and I don't want to show all your trump cards, but where did this belief come from that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is mentioned in chapter 3, verse 81? I mean, I know in general they believe all prophets, and since they believe as a consequence, secondarily or tertiarily, but now they're saying something different. Now they're saying recently. Is this a recent development?
Actually, it is recent in the sense that it's not coming from Mirza Ghulam Qadiani's line of argumentation. He never called him, even though he was calling himself Zil, Buruz, whatever, he never dared to call himself even a Buruzi implementation of this ayah of the Quran. So I have collected some Al-Fazl and some Al-Badr Akhbar. Inshallah, I'm doing some more research. So I'm looking forward actually to, I did debate on this one with Fateh Islam, but unfortunately his knowledge is not that deep in this. I would really, appreciate if somebody at least a murabbi, a proper murabbi, should debate us on this one, and that's why I'm doing some further research on the same point, that what is the timeline when they started to use this ayah for Mirza Ghulam Qadiani for the first time. I'm still struggling to find that timeline.
Yeah, and I just did some basic research about an hour ago. I find it in Dawat al-Amir in 1926, the second a Qadiani Ahmadi Khalifa. I could pull it up, but it's on pages 9 and 11 or 11 and 12 in the English, which is edited. Dr. Shah, remember, they edited Dawat al-Amir in terms of Hatim and Hatam, that whole controversy. They took a sentence out of the English edition. But anyhow, so in that, he said he doesn't mention Mirza Ghulam Ahmad as the primary son. So that's 1926. So I also found that Rashid Khalifa used that verse about himself, and that was found in Nuzhat Hanif's book. Dr. Sabri, if you want to look that up.
That's a great book. Every Ahmadi should read it.
Yep, and just search the PDF for 3:81, and it comes right up. And she explained how and we all know Dr. Rashid Khalifa was the mathematical miracle, you know, and et cetera, et cetera. I think he was murdered in Arizona, which is close to me. But anyhow, didn't Mirza Ghulam Ahmad say that Rasuls don't follow prophets? Didn't he also make that argument initially in 1891? He was making some kind of argument, and then he changed it, and then he said no.
Yeah, before "ek galti ka izala," he had a different definition, and then he, according to his own son, he changed his definition of the prophet or Rasul in 1901. I mean, just imagine, Izhar bhai, people should use their mind. Allah is appointing someone as his messenger, and it took him 21 years to know the definition of a messenger.
Yeah, but you see, you've shown in 1903 when he was asked, and this again is his misogyny. He was a misogynist. He then insults women in one stroke by saying that they are of lesser intelligence than men. And nowhere in the Quran have I found that, or in any other source, proper Islamic source. And he said that forget about women with lower intelligence, even a man cannot become a prophet. But he wrote that in 1903 after Ek Galti Ka Izala. So that rubbishes the whole Ek Galti Ka Izala explanation. But the other point I was trying to make was that the whole business of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib claiming to be a prophet primarily was propped up by his son. And all you have to do is read the origins of the split in the Ahmadiyya community by Muhammad Ali and the response, which was the Aina Sadakat, which are the first two books I read before I started seriously questioning. But the last point I wanted to make was about Nuzhat Hanif. People could easily find this book on PDF. The Ahmadis, when this book came out, claimed that they were going to respond to this book point by point. And that was many, many years ago, and they're still probably working at it and scratching their heads. How are we going to respond to this? But remember, Nuzhat Hanif, I think one of her parents was an Ahmadi, the other was a non-Ahmadi, and she was a non-Ahmadi proper Muslim, then became an Ahmadi. And in a sense, like myself, she read all of Mirza Sahib's literature and then decided that it doesn't make sense and exposed the contradictions. And all his prophecies failed, even the plague one. The plague started in India in 1886. He made his prophecy of the plague in 1888 from a retrospective dream about black
It was always like that.
1898.
Yeah, but
1898.
Yes. So 89 he did it, but the plague had already arrived in India in 1886, and it was forecast by the educated people, the doctors, the public health officials, that this is likely to spread. So it wasn't a big. It's a bit like meteorology. If the meteorologist says that a storm is coming, I can't claim it.
In every single case, he's always back projecting his prophecies. For example,
in retrospect,
the classic case of Mubarak Ahmad, his son Mubarak Ahmad.
I remember.
So when Mubarak Ahmad died,
the Muslim
he said that I was already given the revelation that this guy is not going to survive. He will not reach to his age of being an adult. The point is, if you already knew that, why did you marry him with a 2.5-year-old girl?
Who is actually the mother of Mirza Tahir Ahmad?
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yes, it's hard.
Because when she was 15, his other son married her because he said that no one's going to marry her because she's a widow, and she was a widow at the age of.
His son, the Khalifa, married her.
Yeah, his son Mirza Bashiruddin, the second Khalifa.
So
read the history.
If you knew already, why did you marry Mubarak Ahmad with a 2.5? And by Rukhsati was done as well.
Can I give you another example of that? And this is in the public. This is in the public. Mirza Tahir Ahmad's own daughter, one of them was married, and then she got divorced, unfortunately. And many people sent him letters of sympathy. And he did a special khutbah. And Bashir has put that on his website. A special khutbah that, why are you sending me letters of sympathy? I already knew that she was going to get divorced. So why would a father marry his daughter to someone who he already knew was going? Have you seen that khutbah, Imtiaz Bhai?
No.
You should see it. I mean, it is the most weird khutbah I've ever heard. Is it still available, Bashir?
Man, they sent my YouTube account so many strikes. I don't remember. I know it got took down once. It was like 7 years ago, and then I had one in black and white. I think the Jumba Ahmadis had a copy in black and white, and they said,
Literally, he said, he actually was angry. He said, I'm very angry at people who are writing letters to me, offering sympathy for the fact that my daughter got divorced. Like if someone's daughter is unfortunate enough to get divorced, especially in Punjabi culture, that's regarded as a very big tragedy. Yeah. And people sympathize with their Khalifa. And then he comes up with this idea that, and the wedding was celebrated with every no stops were pulled, basically. And he then comes up and he says, stop sending me these messages of sympathy. I'm very angry at that because I already knew that this wedding's not going to work. Allah had already told me. And, why would anyone marry their daughter to someone who Allah has told them is going to be bad to her and divorce her? Subhanallah.
And so the thing is, they don't follow Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. They follow whoever the current Khalifa is. And in fact, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's son, who became the second Khalifa, he misrepresented the prophethood of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. Completely. And he lied and said other prophets could come. That's not what Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was saying. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was saying he was, and I think I still haven't found this reference, but Maulvi Muhammad Ali wrote in some book that this is the implication. And in fact, Chirag Din, who was an ex-Ahmadi, he was also accusing Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of claiming to be the last prophet. It's in Haqiqat al-Wahi. So none of these guys are following Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, and it's the most funniest thing because the Qadiani Ahmadis, they accuse the Lahori Ahmadis of trying to take Mirza Ghulam Ahmad out of the equation of Ahmadiyya, and that was their whole beef. In fact, with the review of religions, if you remember, didn't the second Qadiani Khalifa, he accused Khwaja Kamaluddin, there was some type of recommendation that the review of religions shouldn't mention Mirza Ghulam Ahmad at all, and that there was a controversy, and that's what they ended up doing.
Izhar Bhai,
well, the first editor of it was Muhammad Ali.
Izhar Bhai, for last 2 weeks, maybe you're not aware of that. On the TikTok, there is a group of Refuting Ahmadi. They are researching about the truth. They are very good people. They are reading the works of second Khalifa of Jamaat Ahmadiyya regarding the prophecy of Ismuhu Ahmad.
Yes,
the prophet
he got that
Ahmad,
wrong. He got that wrong.
So now, Izhar Bhai, for last 2 weeks, pretty much every day for hours and hours. And what they are not realizing is, at that time, your Khalifa is debating with Lahori Jamaat, with Maulvi Muhammad Ali, because Muhammad Ali was saying that the true implementation or fulfillment of this prophecy is Nabi Muhammad ﷺ, and you can go for Zilli for no problem, but he's the one, right?
Yes.
And at that time, second Khalifa was debating and refuting. He said no. In Urdu, he said Asli Misdaq. The true fulfillment of this ayah of the Quran is Nauzubillah Mirza Ghulam Qadiani as a zil, whatever, he said we don't even need to discuss zil. Bashiruddin Mahmud said we don't need to discuss zil. Our concern is one prophet prophesies who is the true fulfillment, and that is Mirza Sahib. And now, again, Izhar Bhai, Jamaat Ahmadiyya, in a very cunning way, has adopted the Lahori position in the public that the true fulfillment is after Asalam, and the Zilli one is Mirza. This was Lahori position. Likewise, on the issue of Takfir, the Lahori position has been adopted by Jamaat Ahmadiyya now. At that time, they were debating them. Lahoris were saying that those people who don't believe in Mirza Sahib, don't call them true disbelievers, kuffar.
Absolutely.
Okay?
That was a big issue.
You can call them, they are sinners, they are rejecting Mirza Sahib, but don't call. They said, no. They are al-kafiruna haqqa. They are the true disbelievers. And now, slowly, they have adopted Lahori position without even telling their...
They've done a complete U-turn. And just for the Ahmadis, get hold of this book. It's called A Mighty Revelation. It's the life story of Maulvi Muhammad Ali. And all what Imtiaz Bhai has said is in there. It's a 500-page book, but it's a riveting read. Actually, it reads like a novel, and it just tells you that Ahmadis, Qadianis got it completely wrong. Anyway, the problem is that nobody bothers to read these things anymore. And I know personally. I know Ahmadis. Some of them are my relatives who clearly have said to me, "We don't believe Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was a prophet." Now, if Ahmadis, quite a number of them, are doing that, isn't it imperative that Mirza Masroor Ahmad comes up one day with a khutbah instead of reading a history book about various battles that were fought in the early days of Islam, which you can get from Chat GTP or DeepSeek. DeepSeek will give you better information. So he should come and give his stand that, is he a prophet or is he not? But he won't say that, you see, because they know they're on a sticky wicket at the moment. And you, Imtiaz Bhai, keep throwing them googlies and they keep getting bowled out, to use the cricketing terminology. Anyway, it's been lovely to talk to you after quite a while.
One last thing. Mirza Tahir Ahmad was a bad guy. Let me tell you. He lied about the numbers. He lied about he used television to trick people into conversion rate, right? He said, if I just show it on television, everyone will believe it. Because in the 90s, but what did you think? And this is the last thing. I promise I'll let you go.
No, it's fine. I've got time.
Why did Mirza Tahir Ahmad say that Yahya al-Islam died in Greece? Where did this come from?
Not only that, but you're right. I used to be quite impressed by him, but he did have an underlying streak of ruthlessness. He was very ruthless, and I have seen him, behave in a fashion that was quite ill-mannered towards people who asked him questions. He was quite arrogant, but he's passed away. We should pray for people's hidayat. But he did used to, for example, the brother from Palestine who was given a job in Islamabad, who was then dismissed when he sent him a letter to ask questions which he didn't answer. He basically used to dismiss them. So he ruled with a pretty tight rein. He kept a pretty tight rein, and he was very partial to his family members. And this is the story of the Mirza family ever since its inception. Inshallah, I pray that I have the time and the effort to write a book, just a 100-page, 150-page book for Ahmadis in English, hopefully, to explain to them these matters so that they can go and explore it and ask. Don't be afraid. To my Ahmadi brothers and sisters, I always say, don't be afraid. And always remember, you are not answerable to a Murabbi, to your family, to your Khalifa, so-called, or anyone, not even to your wife or your mother and father. You are only answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at the day of judgment, you will be in fact naked. You will not even know other people are naked. It would be such an event where it'll be each person for themselves. And at that time, no one will come to your help. No Khalifa, nobody. The only power of intercession is with Hazur sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he has promised intercession for those who follow. So that's all I would like to say. And please pray for me and my family and for all the Muslim Ummah who are going through great sacrifices at the moment for Islam. And yes, my dear Ahmadi brothers and sisters, don't work in factories that supply. I will tell you, I give this fatwa. Don't work. Get another job. Get a job anywhere, in a car garage. Sweep the floors. I'd rather walk on a bed of nails, to be honest, than work in a factory that has blood of Muslims on their hand. I feel very angry about that. So, Jazakallah khairan, and may Allah bless you.
Jazakallah, Izhar bhai. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum. Ji Bashir bhai, do you have any final words to say before inshallah we end?
No, just everyone should do their research. Dr. Zarhan mentioned a book, Mujahid-e-Qabr. I read that like 15, 20 years ago, and I reread it many times. There's also a book by Khwaja Kamaluddin about the split, the first ever book about the split, published. I can't remember when it was published, but should have been December 1914. There's a lot to read. All the information is there. Some of it's stuck in the Urdu, but at least read the English books. I was on the stream yesterday, and I tried to, first I introduce myself to people. When you come and talk to someone, hello, sir, who are you? Oh, I'm Bashir, and this is who I am. Look, the topic you're talking about, I've already written about. So instead of asking me playing dumb, I don't understand the playing dumb. They say, oh, we don't know anything. Well, why? Well, you're not being honest. Tell us what you know. Tell us if you're a big scholar. Tell us everything. I'll share everything I know. I'm not trying to trap or trick anyone. I don't need to. I have the haqq. If I have the haqq, just if you quote a verse of the Quran, show us where Mirza Ghulam Ahmad talked about it, and that's where you got it from. That's the fact of the case. It's a fact. So if you don't know that, like the guy Nasser, he didn't know that, and he kind of got upset when I told him the answer. Because. So the book Izhar Laham came in 2 parts. Now, we don't have the original to know if that, but the first part is allegedly before his claim, a few weeks, a few months, and the second part, anyhow, do your research. In 2025, you will have no excuse in front of Allah. Ignorance will not work. If it was 40 years ago, maybe. We don't know. 150 years ago, if you're illiterate, that was never even a good excuse. So find out. In the 90s, we had to watch whatever was on the television. It was excruciating pain. Now you can pick. You can pick what you want to watch, what you don't want to watch, what to get involved in, what not to get involved in. It was not always like that. Reading books was hard. You had to go to the college. You had to go to the madrasa. Now you can download the PDF and read it yourself. So same thing. Connect with us. We need help writing transcripts for debates. I'm still working on the third debate. But we need help with stuff in Urdu, bringing it to the English. Connect with me. I give out my phone number publicly. I'm not afraid of anything. You know, you guys know where I live at.
Bashir bhai, just inshallah, put your WhatsApp number in the comments, so inshallah people can contact you to help you inshallah in your project.
Right. So I got a bunch of projects going. These guys know I cover all the topics from political to dogma to whatever the case might be. You know, I'm just sitting around, so I'll just type. I don't watch TV anymore. You know, in the 90s we used to watch a lot of TV. Everyone remembers if something was coming on at 9, you had to be there at 9 to watch it, or you could never watch it. So the world has changed for the better, for the worst in many ways. And I encourage everyone to always do their research. Don't show up to the class and you haven't read the book.
Bashir, did you hear my last comments? Did you hear my closing comments?
Yeah, from like a few hours ago.
No, about the last comments I made about reading.
I don't remember, brother.
No, you wanna, yeah. Brother Imtiaz, see the same thing I said. That's why Bashir keeps telling you guys to read. I said the same thing that you said. You know.
Yeah, like there's a new book in English. Al-Huda, but Imtiaz is in English. All of a sudden, it's a brand. I've never read it from cover to cover. I just read it last night. There isn't much in it, but you know, these guys, they're not even reading books the day they come out. You know, I'm waiting for material, new information. So yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah Bashir bhai. Umar bhai, Ahmed bhai, any final comment?
Yes, inshallah. Remember us in your du'as. Join with us, support us in whatever way you can. Again, inshallah, reach out to us if you have any questions. Umar and I, Imtiaz bhai, any questions, and we will make useful time when Imtiaz bhai is driving. Then we'll make him come online. We'll force him to come online and answer your questions, inshallah. So at the end, inshallah, just remember us in your du'as.
Akhi Umar, Bismillah.
Nothing to add, Brother Imtiaz. You can give up your closing statement and then call it a night or a morning for you.
Inshallah. Okay, everyone. At the end, I would again say what I always say, inshallah, I'll keep saying this, that whatever was good in all of this program, that is from Allah's tawfiq and because of the du'as of all of you. May Allah accept that one. May Allah make it beneficial. May Allah make it the source of guidance for anyone who is upon misguidance. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us with steadfastness. Secondly, I would say that please spare some time, watch this stream bit by bit. Inshallah, I will add the chapters as well, just to make it more easy for all of you. But today we just wanted to highlight one thing, that right now for Jamaat Ahmadiyya, for its cleric, for its preachers, for its murabbis, it is not what Mirza Ghulam Qadiani has said. No, it has no worth, no value. Now they have to defend this Jamaat, quote unquote, this Jamaat, this business of Ahmadiyya at every cost. And in doing so, they are directly opposing Mirza Ghulam Qadiani. Today we gave you a full case study, a full analysis, and in-depth study with all the proof, with all the videos, so you can focus and investigate through this one case study that how Murabbis are opposing Mirza Ghulam Qadiani in order to quote unquote save this cult. I apologize to the Ahmadiyya community that we call them a cult. Look, inshallah, very soon when you will be able to see the reality, you will agree with what we are saying. They fulfill and they actually match all the criteria of a cult. Go and read the criteria of a cult and you will agree with us. And we have done an entire stream on this topic as well, that why we're calling them a cult. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide all of you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our shortcomings. And to all the people, to all the viewers, support this platform. And like we said, become the members, support us, reach out to us and play your part, your role as you can play. At the end, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our shortcomings. And the dua is on the screen, inshallah. I will read and you read as well. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.